No, but I think the problem is this, that they have a black constituency, and there's a context in the nation that a criticism of President Obama is an attempt to support right-wing vicious attacks of Fox News and others.
Cornell.
Part of the problem right now, let me tell you something, brother.
No.
I love this brother when he was outside. I love this brother giving his assets, but I tell you this, I worry about your brother because you could be easily manipulated by those in the White House who do have the interests of Wall Street oligarchs, who do have the interests of corporate plutocrats, and you oppose, but you end up being the public face, and if Barack Obama ends up just being another black mascot of these Wall Street oligarchs,
why, as you just saw on that film, that I'm the one out there in the trenches at the labor rallies and during the marches. You just saw that while a lot of people are sitting around inside their ivory towers talking, because I don't buy what you just said, Cornell. Wait a minute. When you talk about a lot of those blacks in Washington don't want to challenge the president because he's black.
Because the black community does.
Let me finish. They will represent those same communities when they supported George Bush on the Iraq war, and only one black woman, Barbara Lee, voted against the war. They were scared then, and they're scared now.
Do you have a critique of Obama?
My critique of President Obama is he must bring about policies that will employ us equally, that will deal with our education and reform.
Where's the jobs bill? Where's the jobs bill?
That's what I'm asking you. Your friends in Congress that sit around waiting on President Obama to write a bill to go in Congress, that's their job.
Kanye's got a job bill already, but Obama hasn't been willing to talk about it.
Please, no. That's a joke. Y'all are making excuses for people that have sat there 40 years and have done nothing. This man has been, we're talking about black suffering that has always been there, that many of them have now become all of a sudden want to come and jump on this president and sat there and not. If you're scared, say you're scared. Don't blame that on Obama. Say you're scared to stand up for the people.
What about that? The president is never irrelevant. I think the people that say the president doesn't have the power, or those people that say the president simply cannot do that because of traditions or because of our system of regulations that say the president is supposed to defend DOMA as he has done for the past 3 years, I think that's a bogus assumption about where our government must be. I think our government must be with the people who say we're fighting for marriage, yes, in New York, but for the president not to say anything about it, I think is, for whatever reason, his own kind of don't ask, don't tell about a moral issue, a civil rights issue, and one that history will judge him. Was he on the sidelines? Did he make excuses? Or was he truly there for the people? And we are going to remember that, not only in history, but in this upcoming election. I'll tell you one thing, Lawrence. If this president wants to get the volunteers that he had in 2008, I would ask him to go to the universities and ask the kids, the new first-time voters, 18 to 23, 24 years old, ask them what they think about marriage and the rights of gay people to live equally. And I think if he did come out and say, yes, I believe gay people are equal, you would have a lot of volunteers. I would be out there. But as of right now, no, I don't think that I should endorse a president that does not endorse my full personhood.
You disloyal, fool-ass, bitch-made punk.
Clearly, it was designed as a reaction to the growing scandal over his mistreatment. Amnesty International had condemned it and urged protests. The UN child torture official was formally investigating it. And, of course, the State Department spokesman was forced to resign after he condemned it as stupid and a variety of other negative adjectives. So it was a real growing scandal for a president who ran on a platform of ending detainee abuse to have this festering scandal continuing to grow. Well, you're right. The Uniform Code of Military Justice in Article 13 makes it a criminal offense to punish a detainee using pretrial conditions. Clearly, many of the things that were done to Manning were punitive. Government officials said so to NBC News and to other media outlets. So the question now becomes, what will his treatment be in Fort Leavenworth? The justification for defenders of the administration for why he was kept in 23-hour-a-day solitary confinement, not even allowed to exercise in his cell, was that this was for his own protection, that if you let him out into a population of Marines, that he would be attacked perhaps lethally. And yet suddenly we hear now that he is going to circulate more in the population in Fort Leavenworth. What happened to that excuse? So I think it remains.
Well, what's the answer to that question?
Well, I don't know. The the only logical answer is that this claim that it was being done for his own protection was deceitful, that it was a pretext. Clearly that isn't a concern because Quantico is a much more controllable facility and environment than Fort Leavenworth is, which is much larger. So I think clearly the intent was to do this to Bradley Manning as a warning to future would-be whistleblowers that if you're going to expose government misconduct and deceit, this is what will happen to you, and as a means of breaking him to induce and extract testimony against their real target, which is WikiLeaks and Julian Assange.
And then my last...
Absolutely. I mean, Manning's counsel has said that notwithstanding this move, and he said he doesn't know how he'll be treated there, he intends to pursue these charges. He's a retired lieutenant colonel who's a veteran of the Iraq War and said he's offended by the violations of the Uniform Code in regards to how Manning was treated, and the amnesty and UN investigations will continue as well.
All right.
So the list of policies that the Democrats vehemently objected to during the Bush years, but which they now embrace and justify and support as their own, is almost endless. You could spend hours and hours and hours on television listing and describing them all. This is yet another one. Not only did Dianne Feinstein say it was dangerous to have a four-star general running the CIA, Joe Biden said that it would mean that the CIA would get, quote, gobbled up by the Defense Department. The idea always was that the CIA would provide a bureaucratic check against the military, which always is pro-war and drives toward that they're supposed to provide independent analysis. And yet here you have the commander-in-chief advocate of not only the public war in Afghanistan, but the covert war in Pakistan, now in charge of the intelligence that the president will receive as to what policies ought to be continued. The Democrats were right when they argued that Bush was doing something improper by appointing General Hayden to run the CIA, and those same arguments should be made now with regard to General Petraeus' appointment to the CIA.
At the same time, we've watched the president go into Libya without ever even acknowledging Congress's existence. George Bush, at the very least, paid lip service to the need to at least spend half a morning with the U.S. Congress. Is it as bad as it looks? Again, I don't feel like I know all the information sometimes when I look at the ins and outs of American defense policy. I know that I don't, but I know that I am watching some of the major intersections, and the trend seems to be a bad one.
As you say, before Barack Obama was nominated, these were partisan disputes. People on the right supported them, people on the left opposed them. Now that they're Obama's policies as well, they become bipartisan consensus. They're barely debated anymore, and the objections that Democrats recently had have eroded away.
You disloyal, fool-ass, bitch-made punk.
This is a copy of the Constitution of the United States. A plain reading of Article 1, Section 8 says that only Congress has the power to declare war.
But we haven't declared war.
Well, you know what, though? We are in a war. The president articulated that U.S. troops, or rather U.S. forces, are being sent into combat. There's no need to parse that. I mean, we know exactly what's going on. You know what's going on. 100 Tomahawk missiles. We have Barry McCafferty says that there's 82,000-pound bombs that will be delivered. Look, a decision was made to take American forces into a war. He didn't consult with Congress, and that's a matter of fact. Now, what the consequences are politically, you know, we'll see. But the fact is, we're going to spend $500 million in the first week on this war. We don't have the resources. We're at 4 different fronts now: Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and now Libya. What is going on in America?
So, Congressman, if you so disagree with the president's leadership on this, you could introduce a bill under the 1973 War Powers Act. If it's passed, it would force U.S. forces to withdraw from that conflict within 60 days unless the president comes to Congress and gets approval. Why not take that formal action?
If you're scared, say you're scared. Don't blame that on Obama.
What
say
about,
you're scared to stand up for the people.
What about that?
You disloyal, fool-ass, bitch-made punk.
Well, of course, that's why he was put in office to start with, you know. So, yes, I'm not surprised that all of this would be happening under President Obama's watch. And then, of course, we still have the Cold Warriors who believe that Russia and China are the ultimate and penultimate enemies of the United States. And so rather than seeing the world as a global community, they see the world as a collection of rivalries that need to be overcome. And so for one, if the Russians or the Chinese are ready to put an end to what is happening here in Libya, I would say thank you very much for helping bring some sanity back. No, it is just patent lies. Now, you asked about what it's like to be here. I mean, you know, it's like every time I'm in a hotel room and every time the air conditioner comes on, you know, I kind of jump because I know it's dark now and the bombardment's going to start. And so any kind of pop or, you know, I've only been through it, 3 or 4 nights now? And can you imagine what our soldiers are like when they come back with post-traumatic stress syndrome? When they go through it night after night, for month after month, for year after year. This is, and the effect on the children and on average, ordinary civilians who are in no way, we don't even know what the NATO design is other than to kill Gaddafi and to take over the country.
You disloyal, fool-ass, bitch-made punk.
If you're scared, say you're scared. Don't blame that on Obama.
What
say
about,
you're scared to stand up for the people.
What about?
And the modern American political axiom at work here is that if you kill Osama bin Laden, you can really do anything you want.
We will be able to remove 10,000 of our troops from Afghanistan by the end of this year, and we will bring home a total of 33,000 troops by next summer, fully recovering the surge I announced at West Point. After this initial reduction, our troops will continue coming home at a steady pace as Afghan security forces move into the lead. Our mission will change from combat to support. By 2014, this process of transition will be complete. We'll have to do the hard work of keeping the gains that we've made while we draw down our forces and transition responsibility for security to the Afghan government. Our mission will change from combat to support. By 2014, this process of transition will be complete, and the Afghan people will be responsible for their own security. The goal that we seek is achievable and can be expressed simply. No safe haven from which al-Qaeda or its affiliates can launch attacks against our homeland or our allies. We won't try to make Afghanistan a perfect place. We will not police its streets or patrol its mountains indefinitely. That is the responsibility of the Afghan government, which must step up its ability to protect its people and move from an economy shaped by war to one that can sustain a lasting peace. What we can do and will do is build a partnership with the Afghan people that endures, one that ensures that we will be able to continue targeting terrorists and supporting a sovereign Afghan government.
What do you think the other options are that the president could credibly have presented tonight to the American people? I mean, you understand both the politics at work here as well as the operational realities. What else could the president have said other than what he said tonight that you think might have actually been credible given your experience?
Well, if we had listened to what he said Afghanistan was the right war, and so he doubled down on Afghanistan. Of course, he didn't talk about Libya. We didn't know we would be talking about Libya. But you've got to say that at this point, because of his escalations in Afghanistan and because of his decision to involve us in Libya, he owns these wars. I mean, you got to say these are Obama's wars now.
I do think there's more of a tendency to pull together when the guy in the White House is on your side. So I think some of these views were probably held by some of my members, even in the previous administration, but party loyalty tended to kind of mute them. I think a lot of our members, not having a Republican in the White House, feel more free to kind of express their reservations.
If you're scared, say you're scared. Don't blame that on Obama. Say you're scared to stand up for the people.
What about
You motherfucker! Oh, son of a bitch! You shot me in the ass! You disloyal, fool-ass, bitch-made punk. Oh, you motherfuckers. Okay. All right. I'm putting cases on all you bitches. Huh? You think you can do this shit? Jay! You think you can do this to me? You motherfuckers will be playing basketball in Pelican Bay when I get finished with you. The fuck you think you fucking with? King Kong ain't got shit on me. Yeah, that's right. You better walk away. Go on, walk away, because I'm going to burn this motherfucker down.